Hello and welcome back to How to Connect with Humans. This is Series 4, Episode 2. Hello, Wayne, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. So it's Friday night. We don't usually have an episode on Friday night, but this is a very special episode.
Absolutely.
With a very special lady that we love very much. She's coming all the way from Greenland, not to a living room directly. She's still in Greenland. And so this is February of 2021. And we have Ivalo A Anfjord. And oh my gosh, the first time I saw Ivalo and I heard her talk, my heart just went out of my chest. I felt like I found uh, a, a sister somewhere that I didn't know, that everything she said resonated so profoundly. So, Ivalo, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to have an opportunity to speak a little bit about of how this understanding has changed my life. So thank you for this opportunity.
That's so nice. And I know you wanted to talk about listening. Um, and obviously, just feel free wherever that takes you. But we know that's a brilliant
Mm,
about.
yeah.
Um, so it's all yours.
Um, thank you. Um, well, I don't know where to start. Um, but right now I'm just feeling this grateful feeling, um, because I never thought of I have never thought about listening, um, most of my life. Because before I had my first insights, um, I thought I was a pretty good listener. But then I read Second Chance, even before I understood the understanding. I read the book Second Chance on my cell phone when I was at the hairdresser, and I was reading it, and there were a part of that, um, where they're talking about the difference between debating and listening, and how the ego um, gets in the way to really listen and to really hear. And it struck me there because I think my ego was in shock because I saw something very deep and truth, um, and it opened up something inside of me, and I knew it was the truth that I haven't learned to listen properly all my life. um, and and with my educational background, we were encouraged discussion to have discussions, to come with our critical views or to analyze it. um, and when I grew up here in Greenland, when I am with my parents, or when we are together as family or among friends, it's this debate, um, encouraging to have a debate conversation or discussions. It's nothing that I am brought up with. It's nothing that I am used to, like having conversations where everybody's talking loudly. It's nothing that I grew up with. So it's in my educational, it's there that I started to do that. So it was a new thing for me to get very analytic and to trying to win an argument, and this part of playing with the intellectual mind. And it's very new. And I met my husband, and he loves to study, and he's a sociologist, and he loves books, as I show you here in his office. He has many books, so this intellectual stimulation was very natural for him. Um, so when I read that in Second Chance, that when I understood that I haven't learned to listen, um, it was an eye-opener, because it meant that what I have been learning in my education um, didn't mean that it has such a big value anymore. Uh, because it's up here, and it's in the ego. So I felt that I needed to let go of everything I have learned, because it's not where the truth lies anymore. And then it was very terrifying, because I had to give that up. But I love to learn. I love to read. I love to explore. I love to um, read books, and I love to learn. Um, as it's my nature to learn, and I love to learn, and I'm very curious. Um, and then and it took some time when I had time to listen to an audiobook, which Mette Louise Holland has written. I listened to it on the airplane, and that's where my life changed completely. Uh, and I didn't know that was going to happen. And it happened even though I didn't ask for it. It happened even though I didn't search for it, even though I didn't know that I needed that, or it just happened to me. So, and my life turned upside down, and everything fell apart, and then I had this new birth, um, and many insights came to me very vividly, and in visual insights, as if I was watching a movie. I saw that as pictures. And one of the very big insights that feels big for me is that um, is when I was in a very black, it's like being in nothing, in a very dark place, maybe up in the universe. It was just black. It was totally black, and nothing was there. And I felt that I was the only one in that dark place. And the silence was so deep, very deep. It reminded me that whenever we have been traveling to other places in the world, and when we come back to Greenland, and then we step out from the airplane, and the airport that when we get there, it's only mountains, and there are no silence, there are no noise. And when normally when we get out from airplane, I'm many times have experienced this loud because it's so silent, my ears had to adjust to that silence. All the background noise has been so dominant. And then when we get back home to Greenland, we get back to the silent areas. We come back to the silent, peaceful towns. We get back to this nature, very, because we're so close to nature. So I am familiar with that feeling when everything gets loud because it's so silent. So in that inside, when I was in that dark place, I felt that I was so safe, even though it was all black, it was all dark. And it was such a beautiful feeling to experience this silence. It's a silence that I never experienced before in this life. And it gave me such a safety feeling, and it's a familiar feeling. And then I felt so safe. I felt so surrounded. I felt so embraced. So, and then after that experience, I saw this giant lights of around lights, and it's even today I don't really understand what that was, but it's something creative, intelligence. And it seemed that I was away from that, but I knew that I was part of that. I was in a distance, but I was also there at the same time. And I was just there, hanging in the air, or I don't know how to call that, just being in the air, floating in the air, and watching that round giant light, and it transformed into different figures or forms, and I didn't understood what that was, but it hit me later on that it's something that I co-create with. Depending on what I thought, it also changed what I saw. And so I was thinking, is it a waterfall, or is it a sun, or is it a light? What is that? And then and it changed many times, and then I knew I was communicating with that, and I saw this freedom, and this beautiful freedom of being separate, but also being part of that at the same time, and the gift of seeing that from distance, but the gift of being with that at the same time made it as it was more multidimensional experience. And I don't know what happened afterwards, after those insights, when I came back to normal days, my listening changed too. The way I listened to my husband and my children and my friends, my former co-workers, I something shifted inside of me, and even though I didn't work to change that, I didn't develop it. It just naturally, my ability to listen expanded, or in this neutral feeling, or neutral observance feeling, and experiencing the situation became so different, and I felt different, and I experienced life differently, even though they're the same situations, same people, same circumstances. Um, and then I started to understand beyond their words. I started to listen and understand their behaviors, beyond their behaviors, beyond their words. And it's like another interpretation systems, and I saw beyond their personal mind, and I saw the person, the real person behind that, and I could see through them, and I could understand them, and I didn't have to take their words, their behavior so seriously, because there's something beyond that that are communicating to me. And in the beginning, I didn't know what to do with that, with those new experiences. And I was like, am I gonna just listen without reacting, or um, without having being part of their dialogue, or what I'm gonna say, what I know, because I know they're living in their separate realities, and I can only just see and observe and listen to what they're experiencing, as if, um, because I saw that they're believing that life is experienced outside in. They are believing the illusion, and I knew that they're in their separate realities. It felt so real to them, and I knew that it's only in their separate reality. Then with me stepping back and watching them explaining, or and 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 I didn't know what to do with myself. And then later on it hit me. I mean, I understood that I'm just gonna listen and just be present, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be in a specific way. I only have to be there and listen, and if there are something new that comes to my mind, I'm just gonna ask them or share them. Or so it's like I had to take a new uh, way of being with them. So this transition that happens so um, spontaneously, it's something that I had to adjust to to live with. So
So
it
just to
mm,
be clear, because I know there's people that are going to be watching that they don't
yeah.
know what we're talking about in a way. So when you're so beautifully talking about this understanding, and we're talking about an understanding that Sydney Banks uncovered spontaneously through insight, and which is the three principles. And what you're saying is so beautiful, that it's not something that you need to learn, or it's just, and for many people they don't have a huge insight, or it's just something that you start seeing things differently. And I don't know if that's your experience, like that,
Mm.
that it, as you say, like without realizing, you start seeing life from a slight different position. um and so I think what I'm really curious, and I think it's like, how, when you started seeing through different eyes, as you were saying, how did that change your life, on your everyday life? So because sometimes I can see that people say, well, I didn't have like a you know big bang of, like, so um and so how did this change, um your everyday life, or how did you see other people change? And lovely to hear about
Yeah.
that.
Um, um, Later on, I understood that it was called deep listening, and and I notice when I am up in my own personal mind listening, but also in a deeper level or in a more expanded level. I don't know how to call them, but I listened to them differently, and I couldn't join their drama anymore. I couldn't join their illusions anymore, but I understood where they're coming from, and I understood that they are experiencing their own thoughts about their situation, and it doesn't come from me. So knowing that helped me to see that I wasn't responsible for their feelings, and that gave me such a freedom. And because there I am also experiencing my feelings from my thoughts, and they are not from them, they are not from my work, they are not from the um laundry. My laundry is not making me feel tired or stressed. So um for example, with my husband, I saw that he's not the one who's making me feel irritated. He's not the one who's making me feel any kind of feelings. And um, when I saw that from up above, that he is experiencing his own thoughts about a situation, and I am experiencing as the same thing with whatever thoughts I'm thinking about the situation. And I was like, I could listen to him more, and I just only to listen to that, and then not get defensive or taking it personal or taking it serious. So with that, it made me so spaceful. I don't know how to say, I could be there. I could it was easy for me to be alive. It was easy for me to be fresh there. I mean, being fresh, and then not being that easily affected from my circumstances, and it and it gave me so much energy to do other stuff. And also at my previous work, I have thought that my uh, leader did something to me to make me feel, and all my work is making me feel something stressed or frustration or but when after those insights, when I came to work and I saw all those personal thoughts, like here in the air, and I knew they are just noises. And I didn't have to take any of them seriously, and I got more creative, new, fresh ideas to some of the things we're working with. And I saw that how um, innocent it was for me to believe how I thought that my work is making me angry or frustrated, and it's everything was from me, not from that. And and I let them go easily, just like the rain rinses, or the rain washes the dirt away. And it just easily flow flew away, or it just easily was away. It just disappeared. But I knew that when they come, I just, oh, they are here. Okay, then, and then it's up to me, depending on my state of mind, um, if I'm gonna listen to them or not. And also with my daughter, I could see her differently, and I could listen to her differently, and it's such a easy it's an easy way to hang out with them. Previously, I normally would look up in a book how to raise a child and how to listen or how to dig, and then follow that instruction. And then those things were not longer needed. And that's why, with my educational background, being early childhood education is my work area, and all those theories, they made no more sense, because they are all thoughts, they are all from mind. And but the most important thing, I saw that it's in the moment. It's what comes in the moment. When I see fresh, it's in the moment that I'm gonna go with. And all those rules I have made up from my education, they are allowed to be there, and I can use them anytime, but they are not the truth anymore. But I know they can be helpful in some situations, but I didn't really have to rely on them. But I know they could be helpful tools if it's necessary. So listening to my own wisdom, listening to my own heart became very clear, and I could listen to my soul very clearly, because all those um, Sydney Banks call them polluted, or how do I remember?
Polluted thoughts and
Con-
is that what you're trying to say? Like,
it will come up, but it's something that I don't have to listen to those contaminated. It's contaminated, yes.
Same word, yeah.
So it's nice to recognize the differences when I see my own personal contaminated thoughts, and when I hear the freshness and this pure, this new and fresh, and I know it's like a very cold wind, or a nice cold shower, and I know it's helpful for me. So listening to the differences, and then follow that, can be challenging also, because depending on which state of mind I am, I know that it's difficult to listen, or it's difficult to have clearer mind. So my ego gets in the way as well. So, but also embracing my ego-ness is also being part of that, listening to that, and also embrace that, because I cannot get rid of that. So living with that, and living and listening to those different voices, different
I love when you were saying about the, like reading books about how to bring up your children. I think, it's like we all feel so lost when, in a way, when you have children, you think like, oh my God, nobody told me it's going to, and most people say, well, they don't come with a manual, on how to raise a child. So, but because I went and did the same, I bought the books and I was like confused, one was saying like, let her cry. No, don't let her cry. No, you're just like, and now, wish I knew 17 years ago, in a way, what I know now, what I understand now. But yes, they come with a manual. They come with all the wisdom in them. Like we come with all the wisdom we need to bring them up. And I imagine when you work with children as well, just being able to sit down and look at these beautiful fresh children that they're so close to this. They're just like, we're all full of wisdom. We don't need to go find it somewhere. So what I'm hearing from you saying so beautifully and poetically, you know, is so close to nature that, you know, when you know it's all fine, when you know that everybody's sitting in wisdom, everybody's sitting in perfect well-being, that you don't have to go fix anything, you don't have to go learn how to be a parent, because that's already a full combo that comes with a package. It's like, yes, we came with all the manuals available, even when we feel really lost, you know, and lost in translation, lost in conversation, you lost everything you need because they have left all the toys around. But I think that's, you know, that's what I love when you talk. It's just, you know, so fresh that you can see that beautiful wisdom in everybody, that you discover that you were fine, and that we're all, you know, it's like when we met, like, was one of the things that we talk about was, well, we are not the definition that sometimes we present ourselves with, and so I know you.
I remember one of my first big insights was, and you saying about like the definition of us, was my first insight was that I'm not my disability. Wayne Yates is not somebody with a disability. Wayne Yates has a disability, yes, granted, but for years before, and even into my childhood, I was kind of always brought up to believe that Wayne's got a disability, he won't be able to do this or that or the other or whatever. And when I came across this understanding, it was, yeah, I've got disability, but at the same time, I can be whoever I want to be. I can be me, but I can also have different ideas of who I am, you know, and I can do different things on different days. Wayne isn't somebody with just a disability. There's a lot behind Wayne. And I think that's what I heard in what you were saying. It was just so beautifully put. It was incredible.
And it's yeah, it is absolutely beautiful when you are free from all the labels that you thought you were. it's so, I felt so huge, I felt so big. I was like expanding, but I could also play with those labels anytime, but I was not dependent on them.
Yes, I like playing, you know, like when kids play sort of pretend or dress up, you know, like today you can be one thing and the next day whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, so that's the thing. So nothing sticks so much. It's like you become more like Teflon than Velcro.
Yeah.
It's like somebody can say something about you, but that's not who you really are. And we're not saying we're condoning acts that when people can do things that are harming, but there's something that we can see the innocence, and also when we're sitting in that wisdom, then we can act in a very specific, more helpful way. So you don't really usually hear people in situations where they have an emergency, that they freeze. We think we're going to freeze. We're like, oh my God, if that happens, I'm going to. Usually people just are called to action. Like wisdom kicks in and they're like, you know, you hear these people like lifting cars that, you know, this granny lifting a car or whatever, you know, but, or anything, you know what to do in that moment, know what to do. So, yeah, I wonder, do you think it's a good time to open it up for questions or people sharing? Yeah. So we're going to do that. We're going to mute people and you're going to do that. And so feel free to either unmute yourself to ask a question or share something, or you can write it, put your hand up. It's up to
you. I remember I listened to an audio, Sydney Banks. They have recorded the Great Spirit. I was at work when I was transcribing it. I wanted to transcribe that, and I was listening to that, and then also I came into something in a state of something very deep, and I also heard beyond his words and the beauty of that we are all one. And I just sometimes dive in and then go back again. And then that feeling of being one with ocean, but also being a drop in an ocean, but being ocean in a drop was so mind-blowing that it's just in different words. It's just he's speaking in a language where in a just different forms, different words, but he's saying the same thing and we are all saying the same thing. So and somehow I have felt this separation with life, separation with universe. But with that, listening to audio, I also get plugged in. I became one again with that oneness, and it's so delicious. It's so delicious to listen when I am able to listen, and it and I really just love also when I have conversations. I also listen beyond their words, beyond their history, and it's I am so in love with that.
And it's amazing how we all keep hearing new things, or you go back to the book and you go, you know, somebody posts a quote from one of Sid's books, and then you go like, where was that? I'm not sure I read that. And you go, or you read the same book again, and something, because I love something that that I heard, you know, about when you read or you listen to Sid, it's a lot easier to listen to yourself. So every time, that's what I feel like, every time I'm reading or I'm listening, because the content is not in the words, I'm somehow listening a bit better to that stillness in me and that wisdom in me, which is what he did so beautifully, that still lives on his recordings and his videos, and the people that keep passing it on, you know, as pure as they can and as pure as we can, because obviously we didn't manage to see him alive, and but it's still spreading in a beautiful way. So people are very quiet, which is a very good thing. um, so if anybody wants to ask anything or share anything, please feel free. And if you don't, we're not going to feel offended.
Hello.
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 Hi, Christopher.
How you doing? Two things. One, this understanding, because I heard it before. I had group today as well, and it's like they pointed me back to something where, as we was growing up, there was always something that we was curious about, and that's a sense of belonging and a sense of being, in terms of whatever you remember when you was 5, you remember when you was 15, but there was a sense of you still being, in terms of when you said we're all created as one. I think we all come from the same tree, just different root. And being silent, like the more, this is a new year, so this year 21, I'm getting a better understanding of certain things that I felt that was needy, in terms of me doing things when I don't need to do things, when I'm in that silent state of mind. Instead of getting into my thoughts, I can just stay silent. And before this understanding, me being in silent and just being quiet and being present with myself, yes, sort of like meditation, but just recap of the day, whatever you've gone through, and when you finish and you come back home, and we don't get that luxury no more because we're in lockdown, but just to have that moment and second and think, you know what, you want to just be in silent and just reflect on everything you've done that day. Before this understanding, I wouldn't been able to do that, because I'd be worked up in my head so much. But once I've got the grips and slowed down what's going on in my head, and not even taking a notice of what's going on in my head and just being present, I've been able to connect more. And even before, you was talking about the feeling, and words are just words, but the feeling of love, no matter what country you're from, it's still the same. It's the same feeling. It's always the same feeling, no matter what language you speak. But that feeling of love never changes. Even that feeling of curiosity, that never changes. So there's certain things that, knowing now, growing up, that it's in our DNA, innit? We just need to tap into it more. And the way I tap into it is in that silent state of mind. And being present, I can just tap into my hope. I can tap into my sadness. I can tap into, like, once again, curiosity. I can just tap into those things, and it's okay. And when I heard it perfectly a couple of days ago, when you're overwhelmed with your thinking, sometimes you can cry and it bursts. I'm only speaking about me, because when I got this understanding, I got it in prison. So when you're in prison, you're not allowed to cry, as we're around big, scary people, and you're not allowed to cry. But it was okay for me, because it was, I needed to cry. I just needed to feel alive again, and to feel present, to feel not even belonging, but to just be human, just to be me, just to be, and forget the worries and labels that people put on you. Just be, you know what I mean? Just be. So yeah, thank you for today, because it started off as listening, and I was very curious. I thought, all right, let me dive in. And my second question was, with this understanding, have you found any barriers, or is there ain't no limits to this? But I'm just wondering, have you, since getting to this understanding, do you still get difficult times or not? That's a question I want to ask.
It's like when I am in a low state of mind, it's difficult to be there.
Okay.
and I want to control to get better again. But I know with this understanding, it's I just have to let that be, and then it will go away. But I know that when I haven't slept well, or if I have been sick, I remember I remember those unwanted feelings, and I don't want to listen to my body. I just want to get well. Or with the barriers, I can also see that when people are using innocently their thoughts, when I, for example, my husband, when he's not able to listen to me, but he's listening to his own thoughts, and I know that he cannot listen. I can see that he cannot listen, and then I have to be very patient, even though I know there's a simple way, but he's not there. But it's okay, he's there. But I sometimes wish with my ego that he has learned to listen, but he's caught up in his mind. So I sometimes see that as a barrier to have a better communication between us. So, but I am armed with patience now and understanding. But it's what comes to my mind right now, that I wish that he can listen better, but he's not there, and it's okay, and I can just listen to him.
Okay, because I had that. Well, when I got this understanding, I wanted to share it with everyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to share it with everyone, and I'm 34 now, so I got this understanding 3 years ago. And I could honestly say, before I got this understanding, I was not listening. Not to me, not to myself, or listening to the other person, to listen to the person that I was speaking to, or we was interacting. I was more concerned about finishing his sentence, or trying to figure out what he's trying to say so I could just finish it, instead of being patient and listening to what he's got to say. I'm quickly trying to rush him to finish his sentence or speak on he's about to say something, but I'm gonna add my 2 pieces before he finishes the sentence. And just it's just to reflect back on it and to see like, wow, that not listening. And even right now, I'm in a new state of mind. And when you said lack of sleep, it's not what I wanted, but it's just the seconds that I'm getting to experience of being a dad, I'm getting a lack of sleep. But there's so much fun in it. Like, there's so much fun in it. And it's a bit stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but just being present and being patient, because that's what it is right now. I'm getting to learn a lot of patience right now. Yeah, I had patience before, but right now it's even more. It enhances to the fullest to being patient and just being present. So they're the 2 things that I think I'm doing more and more each day as it comes. And he's going to be a month old, so it's been a month, and I've been getting better at being patient and just being present with him.
So did it not come with a manual, Chris?
No, it doesn't come with a manual. It really doesn't.
But I also allow myself to be impatient, embracing that humanness, and just knowing and being aware I am where I am, and then it gives me freedom to not judge myself. So it's nice just to be, as you said, just to be there and be that, and then it's always moving, it's always changing, and it's we are aware of that, so it's enough.
It's enough for us to keep, just to remember. You know?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
What I'm hearing is like, the the feeling is not a problem. That we don't want to have the feeling is a problem. So the feeling just comes and goes, but when and we completely understand where you're coming from, Chris. So the more tired and hungry and then you realize that you have a baby, maybe you haven't had a shower in 3 days because you haven't had time, and you don't know if you want to eat or change your clothes. They're all covered in, in sick, or, it's like, and there's two people, you're with a mom that is all hormonal, and it's a bit of a crazy world, it's a lot of thinking. Yeah, there you go. And it's a roller coaster of feelings, and nothing says that this is a prescription for you for only having good feelings. That's not, no human being is supposed to do that or be that, or we're supposed to be like your baby. We're more in a better space when you're like your baby. So if he feels hungry, he cries like, it's like bloody murder. And if he's, and if he's peaceful, then he either falls asleep or he's nice and cozy in somebody's arms, or his nappy's wet, then he's gonna let you know. And then it just passes by. He's not holding grudges on, oh, that nappy that you didn't change at 6 o'clock, I'll remember for the rest of my life. I guess that's you let us know, in a few years, but I guess it's that it just flows from one feeling to another feeling. Your baby doesn't have a set of the feelings that he's going to have and the ones that he's going to think they're wrong to be having. It's just going to have the whole set.
And in a short space of time as well. It could be 1 minute happy, the next minute he's upset. And I love that, because I love when you said about going back to being a baby, because I know Dick and Bettinger's talked about it quite a lot, and he absolutely adores babies. And I think for me it was, and even more recently, I've kind of just thought, you know what, when I came across this understanding, I used to believe that it wasn't, you shouldn't kind of be angry, or you shouldn't have all these feelings and things like that. And for me, it was just kind of dropping that and kind of realizing that, yes, we've been given such a gift of having an understanding and coming across an understanding, but also just to have the freedom to be able to feel anger, to be able to feel peace, to be able to feel upset. It's the way of life. And for me, what I feel sometimes is the longer I hold on to, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I should be feeling like that, the longer it sticks around. So if I can kind of just let myself be in whatever mood, feeling I'm in, the less time I'm in a bad feeling, and then I can come home.
Or the less you can think about it, because the more and more you get caught up in that feeling, you feel like you have to do something to just get out of that feeling. But if you can just sit with that feeling and just know it's going to pass, and you're going to see that door that's going to open up and say, hey, you can come out through the door now. You had your little moan and, when you're when a kid's bad and you just send him to that corner, that's it. You've gone to that naughty corner. You felt what you felt. You done it. Get out of the naughty corner. You can go back to the reality again. But so you could just sit with that feeling. It's okay. And sometimes I only can speak for myself. That uncomfortability stopped me from experiencing what I'm experiencing now. Before it was because I've never done it, it's uncomfortable, I won't try and last as long or stay as long. But now I'm okay with that uncomfortability. The uncomfortability opens up more doors for me. And like how you said, it's only a feeling, it's gonna pass. It comes like a thought. Thinking, I mean, you can have a thought, you can have it will just go past. It would just go past.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I also had been trying to control my feelings and thoughts before I understood this understanding. I thought it was to be in a specific way to express different emotions. So especially with anger, I was brought up with a very passive aggressive father, and then it was difficult for me to I don't know how to use that feeling. I don't know how to express or feel that feeling. So it was a strange thing for me, but I sometimes feel that, but I didn't know what to do with that. And then with the abuse or with this dysfunctional family, and I had to figure it out how to be okay with any feelings. So when I read books about anger management or express your anger, and I did sound healing, I did different kind of way of to get rid of that feeling. And it was fun adventure also. But when I understood this understanding, I remember talking with my husband, and he said something that wasn't okay for me. And then somehow I felt this huge wave of saying that was not okay, and just naturally let it go and let it show. It was surprising for me to not even have to do it or plan it. It just happened, and I knew that, and I knew that it was healthy for me to say that was not okay. And I felt like as if I was a big mountain, like I can be there for myself. I can be there for myself, and I am fine with being in that feeling and saying no. And I felt so fresh. I felt so refreshed with that new born feeling of having a good relationship in any feelings. So that is so new, and it's so wonderful just to be able to be anything that comes. And I know that and I felt so powerful, but in a good way, in a cleansing, in a healthy way, and it's such a beautiful gift for me to have been experienced those opposite experiences in life, when I thought that it was outside in, and then when I thought it's from my thoughts. So I will ever forever in this lifetime will be always talking about how grateful I am to this. It's a true gift, and it's warms my heart, because I am now a better wife, a better mama, and a better girlfriend, and it's easier to be with myself, even though I have days where everything is shitty, but it's okay also to be there, even though I don't want to be there, but I'm there. So I am so grateful for that. I am forever grateful, and thank you for listening to me. I don't know how long we have left. I will be back. I will be coming back to my family.
But I guess your husband and your children may know. want us to do that. So I don't know. It's just really up to you if you have a bit more time, and if anybody else has anything else they would like to share or say. So feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you so much. It was really great. It's Kathy here.
Hi, Kathy.
You know, what came to me when you were talking and then when Christopher talked was in an early recording that I heard of Sid. He spoke something like this. This is what I heard. I don't know if this is what he said, but he said, when you get a glimpse of this, you just go and live your life. And there's no end to the depth of beauty that'll be revealed to you. And so when you're talking about being able to feel those feelings and not being afraid of that anymore, you know, for me, it's like returning to the wholeness that we were. This is healing. And so we have access to all of those feelings without needing to, like, I'm always learning. I just go and live my ordinary life and it teaches me, you know, it's like, I know where my experience is coming from now. So it isn't confusing, even in the difficult times, if there's anger or despair or sadness, because I understand where my experience is coming from, I'm not blaming the outside world anymore, like you said. And so it's always instructive to me. So as I live my life, more and more is revealed to me. And so that is so beautiful too. I feel so grateful for that, because that means I don't have to be afraid of my own experience of life anymore. It is such a gift. And most of my life I was afraid of what might happen and what I might do in response. So that in itself is so transformative. Again, this gratitude just wells up, and knowing that our life, you know, is just going to be this continual unfolding of understanding and deeper beauty. I mean, come on, you know, and I don't mean that in a, you know, this isn't in an airy fairy kind of rose-colored glasses. This means the really challenging, difficult things just enrich my life so much with this understanding that my arms are wide open to life now. Whereas before I was, you know, closed off and afraid. And that difference means everything. So I, you know, I heard so much in what you shared. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Christopher too. Thanks, Christopher.
Yeah. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Kathy. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
And so much color, isn't it? You're just full of color. How beautiful.
I love color.
When you were saying like you're not afraid of anything, like, is that, how freeing is that? How liberating, you know? Your face is like, yes, just bring life to me, because nothing can hurt me. And you know, it's this, and as you let yourself feel, because you're not limiting yourself to feel within this bandwidth, so your bandwidth expands. And what I found is that my grief is now huge when I feel grief. Also, is my happiness is bigger. But you know, when happiness is bigger, I'm like, oh wow, what a beautiful feeling. But when I feel like I'm having like a bad day or a bad moment, or I'm like, the darkness is so dark, and it's like, you know, oh my God, I didn't sign up for this one, you know. But I realized that, oh wow, okay. So as you were saying, Kathy, it's like, oh, it opens up to something else. It opens up to something else.
Yeah, that richness, you know, even grief, even in sadness, there's a beauty, there's a quality of beauty to that experience, because I'm not afraid of my experience anymore. I know that love is behind all of it in some mysterious way. And so without resisting it, all of it teaches me, all of it grows me, all of it evolves me. Everything deepens my understanding. And so, yeah, bring it on. It's like, so you're living life with your arms and your heart wide open now. Whereas before, for 50 years, maybe I was shut down and contracted and afraid and depressed. And it's the opposite now. And again, the gratitude off the charts, so yeah.
And I think also like what we see with, and Chris, please correct me if that's not right, but you can't define anybody now as I am an angry person, or I am a depressed person, or I am, you can feel a lot of anger. You can probably, Chris, now you can feel a lot more anger than before, or now anger doesn't seem so interesting or important. But now you know that that feeling doesn't call you to have to do something. It's like sometimes the good thing about feeling angry is that it tells you you're supposed to put limits, like what Ivalo was saying. It's wisdom gives you what you need, and you are now able to be somebody that doesn't let people, say harmful things to you. You can say, look, it's up to there and no more. And you can protect others as well. You can walk away from difficult and hurtful relationships without having to stop loving the person. And with time, many of us may have found that we could have even start seeing the innocence with that person have done that. But you can now experience all the anger you want, because you can say stop it, or you can punch somebody if they're actually coming to hurt you, or you can think, oh, I don't have to react to this in that way. I could remove myself. Like if I'm feeling that, that, oh my God, what I'm gonna do with this baby doesn't stop crying, I'm going crazy. Maybe that's the time to say, I'm gonna take a minute, or you can look at your partner and see with how much innocence they are going crazy. They haven't had a second of silence in that, and you can say, you know what, I'll have the baby, and you go have a bath. You'll have a shower, you have a cup of tea, just go for a walk. Oh, there you go. Hello, gorgeous.
I need to go back to feeding, so I'm just going to quickly say he said hello. He said hello.
Hello, beautiful. This quarantine stops and we're going to babysit, so you can both go out somewhere. So I guess it's a beautiful time to bring it to an end with that little cry of pure innocence. And Ivalo, you have got us today to such a beautiful place and in such a beautiful feeling. We absolutely love you with all our hearts, and it's been an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. There's really no barriers and no distances. And also for everybody else here, there's people from so many places around the world, and we can all be here sitting in a living room just having a chat. So where can people find you? So because you're a 3P facilitator, and you wrote a book, and I'm sure people are going to want to connect with you. So you can let us know here, and then we can also add the information.
Yeah, the easiest is Facebook. Write
Okay.
my name and find me if you want to connect. And then we can write or talk, or yeah. But we also have a little non-profit organization here in Greenland, and we have done few webinars, and then 3P, 3 principle, or this understanding is growing or expanding here in Greenland easily, and it's nice to follow and to watch what's happening.
Beautiful. And you're also either translating or teaching in your own language.
Yeah, we are sharing in Greenlandic and Danish, and one of Mette Louise Holland's book is translated into Greenlandic, and yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And next week we're gonna, it's Valentine's Day on Sunday. It's a good excuse just to spread more love and to just talk about love and hearts. And so next Wednesday we're going to have Nicola Drew. Nicola, she wrote a book from basically starting with having experience with her child and have a problem with his heart and in an operation, and then HeartLink, which is a charity for children with heart conditions, really helped them. And she really wanted to do something to help the charity and to help other people. So he got stories from many people that have experiences around the principles, and I'm banging my head on the wall because she sent me the message, and it was one of those things that just I didn't see at that time. But the book is beautiful. It's called From the Heart. And the profits from that book go completely to the charity, and she's raising a lot of money to help other people that have to go through those situations, where you have to your little child with a heart condition, and that there's so many costs that come with that, and also help to go through those things. So Nicola's going to talk about this and what she's doing, and also they're starting to write a book with David Hill, which is a book to help veterans, and veterans are going to tell their stories as well, and another book which is going to go to the charity that's going to help veterans with PTSD or any personal problems that they're having. So that's happening next week, and it will be lovely to have you here, and anybody that wants to join us. So thank you so much, and from my heart and from everybody's heart, thank you. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.